Are you ready, Ryan?
Yep, also.
Okay, let's get that a recording. All right, welcome to the Northside Fire District regular scheduled meeting. It is 1700 hours on August 20th, 2025. Commissioner Roof.
Here.
Commissioner Bowman.
Here.
And Commissioner Adams is here. Please be advised, anybody wishing to speak from the floor will need to sign up at the front table. Give your full name and address when recognized by the chair. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment? Yes.
My name is Bob Frank. I'm a resident of the Westside Fire District, and I would just like to ask the Northside Fire Commissioners to consider speaking with the Westside Fire Commissioners to explore the feasibility of a consolidation and to consider putting an advisory measure on the upcoming ballot, asking if the citizens would support such a consolidation. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Did Mark Sauter have any words of wisdom during your conversation that you think would be important to pass on to us?
It doesn't change our ability for funding. The same rules apply as applied before. It just takes away the penalty that used to exist when two districts merged. You wouldn't get the full budget of one of the two districts under the past law. 208 changed that, and that's essentially all it did. So if the two districts were to merge, all the assets would become the property of the new district, all the debts and obligations would become part of the new district. The existing employment agreements remain in force, and the law requires that the people that are currently employed by the department are the ones considered for continued employment with the new consolidated department. So theoretically, nothing changes as far as that goes either.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking.
Any other public comment? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the order of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the order of the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion will pass. Approval of any prior month's minutes, meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I had an issue reading it earlier today. Could I just skim over it really quick?
Yes.
I was able to read about half of it.
There was a lot going on in these minutes.
Yes.
Does this matter right here? It was your step down. That doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, I can just fix it, make a note of it and fix it. Or let it ride.
Okay.
probably fix it because it won't match up to who is chair.
Because I noticed it's on this one, just not this one.
Well, you were chair once and I was chair the other time. So whoever was chair stepped down. Did I get it wrong?
Let's see, this was the, it was 13.
One's a,
So
So
it'll
the
say,
first one,
one was
There
on
we
the
go.
13th,
Got it.
one was on the.
so are they
got
okay?
it, yep, correct.
No.
It was such a short meeting and there was such sparsely attended.
There was a lot going on.
Behind the scenes?
Always.
Oh, no. We-
Okay, I'm prepared to make a motion to accept the minutes from the previous two meetings.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the prior month's meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion will pass. Treasurer's report.
Okay, I'm still working with Tammy and Carmen, just to find out exactly which way and how we're gonna proceed going forward. Certainly, I'm open to any suggestions from the board, Tammy and the chief. I explained to Tammy and the chief that some of these things I can't unilaterally approve, so I just need to get your feedback today. Normally, you would have more printouts here, and then also as far as payment of bills, review of budget report. Unless I missed it, Tammy, I don't see the total expenses for the month, the wages, overtime, or the stipends.
No, I did
And,
not.
and once again, we're working on this. This is really our first meeting since the districts have combined. So if you allow me to work with Tammy going forward. Tammy, do you have anything? As far as I know, all bills are in the process of being paid. We're straightening out the impact fees. I'm bringing Carmen and Tammy up to speed as far as what impact fees are covered by the impact fee accounts. And once again, I just ask for your patience. I'm confident that within the next couple of days, we can have this worked out. And under direction from either the chief, Tammy, or the rest of the board, we can go back to the exact same amount of information that was presented to you. We can modify it. And at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Tammy to see what her input is from Carmen especially, to see how this might work and we can blend them together.
So we're trying to get you. On what?
1201-602 on Black Hill.
I'll be back.
Do you have any specific questions, Vern?
Normally, we would have a total expense, wages, overtime, and stipend, and I see that for the fiscal year. Would you like to have that continued month to month, or do you want to see it on a fiscal year?
To me, it doesn't matter.
I would agree. It's in the detail of the profit and loss. So if we want to look at it, we can look at it there. So
It's just,
I'm
I
okay.
couldn't find it in the profit, maybe I missed it.
Well, you'd have to do a little ciphering to come
Okay.
up with it.
And maybe I just missed it.
Well, it's just that they're not total up in here, right?
Yes.
So you'd have to do the totaling. We would have to,
Right.
right?
Because they're all.
Maybe some of this could get rearranged a little bit. I just was going through here today for the first time because I hadn't seen it before, and there were some things that I thought maybe could be rearranged differently, but it takes some time to really go through it, so.
It's just, we used to have fiscal year-to-date profit and loss for the month specifically, and that's where I got the expenses, wages, overtime, and stipend. It was a separate sheet.
We had it today?
I
Oh, it's
don't
not
see it
in your
my copy
printout,
yet.
but it's in the email.
Okay, I was having email problems, so.
And I printed a lot of that stuff out my own. If you want to see it, I probably have it in my stuff.
You know, if you can bring it up, just so that you can go ahead and act in my place, and you can at least give us the total expenses, wages, overtime, and stipend. Because
Well,
my email doesn't work in here.
all right, let's see. And I
If it was on
have a
the-
question, just while this paper's on top. Fiscal year-to-date profit and loss. Where it says gross profit, that really should be gross receipts. It's all the money that has come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to make a note of that. It's right here.
So we're on the first page, Tammy, about.
Mid-page.
Okay.
It's the total of all the receipts that have come in. So that really should be gross receipts. All right, let me dig through mine. I didn't print out everything, but I printed out a bunch of stuff. Let me see if I got that.
Once again, as far as the treasurer's report, all bills are in the process of being paid. I'm working with Carmen and Tammy. And then as far as the payment of bills, review of budget, I just need some clarification. Will we continue the same route as far as providing all the information? It sounds like it has. I just wasn't able to access my email.
Yeah, there's just not as much on the year-to-date. This is like the 2 years to date set of the profit line. They're just not as many pages as what we've had in the past.
I guess I don't
Sorry,
have
it was
that.
like that
Print
bad
out.
date phone call.
That's right.
If you want, I could pull it up on the
Yeah,
computer.
if you could just
Yeah.
pull it up on a computer, at least that way I could give you guys those amounts. And then that would be the opportunity for you to let me know if you've got any special requests. Do we continue on? Do we want to make any modifications? I've not really seen Westside and Segal's individual reports, so I'm not quite sure what is provided to them each month. So we're open for input.
You want profit and loss detail, July?
Yes. Do you have fiscal year to date or fiscal July date for this?
There, if you
Keeps going.
shrink that, you can see it in the Finder. I got a Finder window open there. Here. There they all are. So
Okay, there it is, right? Just looking for July, this looks like it's fiscal year. As far as overtime, it's only 85,000. I used to do a breakdown each month.
well, it is. Yeah, it is year to date as of July. So this is the wrong date.
Okay,
So maybe we can pull up a different one. So what?
there it is. No, fiscal year.
I would have thought that would be it.
Yeah, I don't see.
Oh, this is the 14 pager. You had that one already, P&L, July.
Yeah, I don't see it here.
Huh.
I guess my question is, do you want a report each month, or do you just want it fiscal year to date? We used to break it down per month, and I would basically say what the total expenses for the month, how much of that were wages, how much was overtime, and how much was the stipend. Is that something you want to continue, or do you want to just go with overall fiscal year to date as of that month?
I'm okay if we just take, if we don't do that at that
Yeah.
level
That's-
for the
okay.
meeting.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cross off the section for total expense, wages, overtime, and stipend. Okay. Okay, and then as far as the payment of bills, review of budget report, once again, we're in the process of paying all the bills. And I'm working with Carmen and Tammy.
Okay.
Anything else that you gentlemen would like to express to Tammy as far as reporting,
I don't,
monthly paperwork that you'd like to see?
not for me, although I probably will go through this more after tonight or between now and the next meeting. So, but if I have something, I'll just let you guys know. But
And anything to add, Tammy? anything that they do differently over at Selkirk that you would recommend that we do here? Or
Well, you guys are used to perhaps reviewing your financial reports in much more detail than the others. If that's something you like to do, you can. Normally, we provided monthly P&Ls, monthly balance sheets, year-to-date P&Ls, year-to-date balance sheets, and then just a rolling budget. So none of the detail that you guys are used to seeing. We figure you see the detail in the actual checks that you're signing, so printing out another page of that, it's not something we've normally done as far as paychecks go, and detailing out everybody's taxes and everybody's Medicare. I mean, that seems like overkill for sure.
The detail reports.
Yeah, so even with the ones we do for Selkirk, I typically only print for the meeting the rolling budget. I figure you have it electronically, you can review it. If you have any questions, you can ask. Happy to do it all. Everything that we print takes time and money, so if we can keep it electronic, that helps a little bit.
I'm good with, as long as we have it digitally to look at, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need it printed out.
That's what I've been doing. I've been looking at my tablet so I can look through them.
and I usually do it. That's how I get all my numbers. But
Yeah, same here.
and once again, there's a couple other items tonight on the agenda that I had passed on to Tammy that I couldn't decide unilaterally that I needed your input. So it sounds to me like we'll just go with what Tammy provides.
We'll
Selkirk.
streamline, so
And if-
we're kind of on the same page as Westside and Selkirk.
Sounds
And if
good.
at any time you want detail, that can be provided within
Okay.
probably 48 hours of the request,
Okay.
or sooner, but,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
We can always tweak it as we're going along if we need to. Right.
I like the idea of not publishing people's paychecks. I mean, the only thing that's missing on some of those reports is a social security number, so, I mean, it's kind of, it's not what professional organizations generally will do, so.
Oh, thank you.
Sounds like that's
We'll
it.
slim it down.
Are we good?
So that is my treasurer's report, payment of bills with the discussed modifications, and that's all I've got.
Then I will make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report. Why don't we, I have a suggestion. In the future, could we just combine that? It's always kind of seemed kind of silly to me that we keep them separate. Treasurer's report and payment of bills,
Works for me.
because they go hand in hand.
Okay.
So starting with treasurer's report, I'll make a motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then, if the chair is okay, I'll just go ahead and, because we just combined them anyway, move that we accept the payment of bills and budget, review of budget report. Or do we, well, actually, we didn't look at the budget. Maybe we should. Or at least, does any,
Well,
you
I
can
mean, we
present
have,
it.
yeah, we have it in here, and
Yeah.
certainly, I mean, I could present it.
I've looked through it, I'm
Yeah, I mean, I
okay
feel
with it.
comfortable
I'm okay
just
with it,
looking
yeah.
at it, so.
Okay,
And I'm sure when I get more time, you'll get a little bit more familiar with it, and maybe have some input, but this past 2 weeks is not afforded me that.
I did have maybe you have the same
The
question.
only thing go ahead.
I'd have to pull it up, but
So while you're doing that, the only thing I would like to keep, Tammy, is if we can keep, I mean, I like the percentage of the total budget, left. I've always liked that, so if
Yeah.
we could keep that in there, that would be my only request, and whatever else, Dave.
I just wanted to see after the total expenditures, we have wildland program revenue and all that. And it seemed like it was kind of a widow orphan thing down at the bottom, and I wasn't quite clear where it looked like it, somehow or other formatting ended up out of place.
Is that not normally where it had been?
Well, it just, the numbers, well, I tell you the truth, I don't know, maybe I've missed it in the past.
Yeah, that's always,
And those numbers are all,
So the wildland program is very difficult for bookkeepers to figure out the best way to present.
Okay.
So I went today, I'm like, oh, I love this because it's broken out separately. That is,
I just figured something out. The totals at the bottom, the 983, 428 are carried down, that are under wildland, aren't wildland. They're carried down from up above,
Yeah.
right? That's what I wasn't, it wasn't making sense, but, so the numbers right above, never mind, I get it now.
but just on that point, wildland is a difficult one for bookkeeping purposes. And so it actually continues to be refined in ways that Carmen and the auditors try to figure out the best way
All right,
to do all that, because it's a lot of combined expenses.
okay. No, the big numbers at the bottom had caught my eye because they seemed like way out of whack for wildland, but now I get it, so never mind. As Gilda Radner used to say, never mind. God rest her soul.
All right,
Uh,
so you still want to accept
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Payment of
good.
bills, review the budget report?
Yes, so moved.
Brennan?
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to accept payment of bills, review of the budget, and working with Tammy and Carmen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Old business. Fee schedule for services.
Are you,
I can bring that up.
Sure, go ahead.
Just know from the past that you guys were trying to collect fees for your fire sign-offs in particular. I also know that you in Northside do a lot of sprinkler inspections, a lot of big homes and commercial businesses. So we're currently not collecting any fees. I asked Chief, I was already like the next day, I had already gotten the square and I was ready to start doing fees, and he asked me to hold off until we checked in with you again.
Did we
I
have
was
a
not
fee
able to
schedule?
find a fee
I don't-
schedule.
did we
My
actually come
understanding
up
was
with?
We revised the fee schedule, we had a resolution
actually had a
to
resolution, yeah.
Was it in
collect.
2021?
No.
2023?
Wasn't that long ago.
2023, and I think we readjusted it last year.
I think the problem is
I
we
think
don't
so.
necessarily have it. It's probably in the archive somewhere. Our question was just, do you want to revisit it and do you want to see, like maybe all the districts should be charging the same? I don't know. I mean, we're very conservative. We're not charging a lot. We were
Yeah, we
$15
were-
for a fire sign off and set like
I don't remember
$70.
what ours were. I know
We were a
we've
minimum-
gone through and
It's
adjusted
been
some of
since
ours.
I was here,
Yeah,
we
since
went-
Dave came on board as commissioner.
If any of you have that in your files, if you could find it.
I'll-
It should be on.
I'll bet you it's in
on,
our
uh,
emails
Karen's
someplace.
laptop.
I searched
Really?
all the words I could think of, and
I'll go through my
the
notes.
current one I found was 2023,
I'll go through my
which
notes.
might be.
That's
That
probably
could
it.
be,
Okay, so I can send that out, and you guys can review it, and next month we can decide if
Okay.
that's where you.
and I'll look and see if I have anything newer than 2023, because I know we did it.
Would you send a comparison of what the other two districts are
Yes.
doing, just so they could see if there's an
Okay.
opportunity to maybe come up a little bit?
Yep. Or down.
You gotta
Yeah,
think,
there's where-
well, and maybe some of them down, but I'm just, my drive out to Idaho Club, that's an hour and a half. Time, fuel, whatever else, so we should probably be charging
Sightseeing.
something for that.
Yeah.
I know, enjoyable view.
My understanding was we were charging for sprinkler checkoffs. There were multiple instances where
Well,
people were
maybe she
going.
was taking checks, maybe? I don't know. I don't know.
I think she was just doing checks.
Because
Because she
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
have
we
a
didn't have
square,
it.
she didn't,
Yeah.
she was trying to
I
get
thought
that
we
all
got the
squared away for
square
the
and,
square and,
I don't.
and something else, some other way.
Well, we can also.
And that was
look at
just
the
last
financial
year.
records and see what we can find and see what
Yeah.
the.
it doesn't look like we were collecting them, so.
Oh, well, anyway, we'll.
I don't see where they
readdress
want,
it.
a line item, so, yeah.
We'll readdress it then
Okay.
next time, thank you.
So no action there, right?
Correct.
I guess this is kind of mine and Tammy's and the
Yes.
chief's. Once again, not possible for you to make this decision unilaterally as far as bank accounts and access. Right now, the three commissioners have direct access to the accounts. I have a surety bond of $100,000. Karen and Tammy, Karen did, and Tammy now has access to LGIP as far as looking, and Tammy can go ahead and transfer just like Karen from LGIP to Umpqua. The questions come up, Tammy also has access as of the other day to look only at the Umpqua Bank statement. I think it'd be appropriate to put Carmen on there also. And there's been some discussion as far as should they have the ability to do anything further with the bank accounts besides just observing them and having access to them visually.
As well as Chief Armstrong, is that correct?
As far as you,
So one of the things we found out is when we had the fraud in the Sagal district, unless you were a signer on the account, you couldn't even go in and put a stop payment on a check. You couldn't ask questions at the bank.
So you need some
They would-
administrative.
Yeah. The way that we have it set up for the other districts, and I hate to always use them as the template because we don't have to go that way, but there are no checks that go through without two signatures. If something falls under my, and we can certainly bring back a purchasing policy, but if it falls under my spending authority, I may or may not sign it, and then I may go get another commissioner to countersign it. So Tammy and I don't sign a check. We aren't paying bills that way. And that's only done if it's a more time-sensitive purchase. In other words, if it can't wait for the board. But if it's something that's purchased on an account and it's for $10, the check comes to the meeting. It's on the table. It's in front of all the commissioners. We try to run it as transparent as possible. But we would have been in a bad place if Tammy and I weren't on the banks when we kind of went through all this. And I think in the future it's a good idea so that we can do business. Of course, you still have access. You'll get notifications. I believe you can get notifications when we transfer money, LGIP, things like that. So obviously, there's a little trust in having an administrative team. So we just need to understand where you guys want to go with that. But I think it's a little difficult to try to get a hold of folks. And Vern is very available, but Vern's also not going to be here after November. So who is then going to be able to drop everything and run in here and run down to the bank for us? So it's just a concern, and if that's the way you guys want to keep it, we support that. We just understand there's limitations when it comes to that. So.
and one other caveat, we also have positive pay now where both Tammy and I are notified of positive pay, and ideally it'll get to the point where Tammy will go in and approve them. I've always been a backup to Karen if she was on vacation, sick, unavailable. So that's another position where do you want any other access to the positive pay?
I might suggest in Selkirk, I don't work Fridays, Carmen does, so unfortunately with Mountain West Bank, we actually have to go in every day and check it. You guys with Umpqua Bank, it's much nicer, they notify you and then you go do it. But if you were to give Carmen access, then not only can she upload, today I had to upload for her all the checks, but she and I can take care of it, and commissioners don't need to worry about that type of thing. So that's just another option. Again,
I mean, I think you guys should all be on the bank where you could walk in and see what's going on and notifications and whatever else. But and whatever checks and balances we have, so we make sure that, and I'm going to be facetious here, make sure Tammy and I aren't writing checks to each other, right? I mean, you need to watch for that stuff. It's not about the people that are in this room. It's about making sure the organization runs professionally and there's checks and balances. So, and we have that checks and balance with Carmen, whereas Carmen's looking over our shoulder.
In addition, you as individuals want to have those checks and balances also, so that you're above suspicion ever, because there are checks and balances. So it's a two-way deal on that.
100%.
Big time. So everybody should want it because
and that's why I make sure the commissioners in the district have a relationship, understand Carmen's role, can pick up the phone and call Carmen. She's kind of that third party. I think it's really going to help with the audits as well. You have third party outside the department, somebody watching our financials.
Yeah, I don't have any problems.
No, me neither.
Because I get the same thing. I bank at Mountain West, and I get, anytime there's a positive over a certain amount or an expenditure over a certain amount, I automatically get a text message and an email. I have mine set up that way, so. And I've been with Mountain West for quite a while, so. Okay.
Is there any particulars we need to go through, or is that all understood what's going to happen?
I would imagine the meeting minutes is what the bank's gonna want, that's what
Yes.
West usually wants.
Actually, as far as
So is there some language I should be taking down then?
actually, hold on just a second. If I remember correctly, in talking with Umpqua, as administrator, I can add names. The only time that we need to get the minutes would be
If we
in
change,
January when my replacement comes in.
if we get new
Oh,
commissioners or
New commissioners,
administrators,
you need
Then you'll have to
minutes
have
of the
it.
meeting.
yeah, you'll have
So-
to have it through the notes or the minutes of the meeting.
I had to think on that for a minute, yeah, so I should be able to go in there and add, so
So what are, just so I have
just so that I
it
know what
clear.
I'm doing.
Well, one of us needs to.
Well, and I would prefer that it's captured very well. in the minutes.
Well, yeah, for all the
Yeah.
aforestated reasons. But,
I just have to say this because I know that being the treasurer, you know, I've got the $100,000 surety bond on me. Idaho code only says minimum 10,000, but for some reason they wanted 100,000 on me, but that's okay.
You're a valuable dude.
Yeah. I remember the auditor specifically saying, and I only say this, it's not a trust issue, it's a security issue. I remember they always would comment, organizations like ours are too small, you really should have more people. We explained to them, we don't have the
Infrastructure,
budget
yeah.
to get more people to check on this person and that person. And I remember specifically them saying, the more people that have access to the accounts, the higher possibility of a security breach. Once again, they emphasize it's not a trust issue, it's a security issue.
Mhm.
I felt compelled just to say that, and as I mentioned to Tammy and the chief, I couldn't make this decision unilaterally, so if you guys let me know what you feel comfortable with, like I said, I'm leaving in 4 months too. So,
I
want
don't have
everybody
a
to feel
problem. I don't
comfortable.
have a problem giving the chief, Tammy, and Carmen
Yeah, I don't either.
Well,
the rights to be able to view them, and in the case of Carmen and Tammy, they can.
Well, one of the things that you need to think about too is with Vern not running again, the designation of a treasurer. And it doesn't have to be a board member. If you wanted to designate Tammy as the treasurer, you could do that, because you
Yes.
guys may or may not want to deal with the fundamental and the day-to-day. So
Mhm.
I'm not making that suggestion now, just think on it. We have a couple months coming up.
you want to make my last 4 months really easy?
I need to.
So it would be for Chief Carmen and Tammy to be able to view, right? And for Tammy and someone else, or to
Tammy
transfer,
and Chief.
To have access to eligible?
well, I was gonna say to
Offers.
transfer.
Okay,
Have authorization to transfer.
Be a signer on the bank,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
and that's LGIP and Umpqua?
That would be.
Transfer from LGIP to Umpqua, right?
That's, Tammy has that authority right now, so we want the chief to be able to transfer from LGIP also?
Sure. Well, yes, I mean, if
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
happens to me,
Right.
somebody has to be
Yeah.
able to.
So Tammy and the chief transfer from LGIP to Umpqua. Tammy, Carmen, and the chief access for
And
LGIP and Umpqua.
Carmen won't want signer, like she won't want to be a bank signer.
Right. That would
Right.
be, the only two that would add would be the chief and Tammy.
She needs to be able to review
Okay,
statements.
so Chief Carmen and Tammy can view. Chief and Tammy can transfer from LGIP to Umpqua, and Chief and Tammy would be signers. Does that cover it, or is there more?
You might want to, just to be safe in case we come into a lot of money and want to transfer from Umpqua to LGIP, since you only stated one way.
All right, so we'll go back,
Transfers back
all right,
and forth.
both ways, okay.
Yeah.
And that would, so Tammy and the chief.
It's a big donation coming in.
The ship's coming in.
You want me to make a phone call? Look what I did for meals.
Yes.
And this just does say bank account access, but if you'd like to be formal about it, would like to get a credit card with my name on it, and would like to get a credit card for the crew members as well. And then, I don't need to say it out loud, but we need to get rid of Brad Mitten's credit card.
What?
That was,
So-
there was a clerical issue with that where he couldn't,
There's lots of clerical
So-
issues
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
a long story,
Figure it out
and-
somehow.
So, question, wouldn't that be an admin decision anyway? Do we have to, is that a board thing?
Well, it's access to a credit
It's
line.
credit line, yeah. It should be through
Although,
the,
right
which
now.
may or may not exceed my spending authority. So So just as an example, my credit card for the other districts is 15,000. That exceeds my $10,000 spending authority. So just things to think about. I mean, we can bring the credit cards back in a separate motion, or we can bring it along with the purchasing policy, because in the purchasing policy, we lay out credit cards.
So right now, there was a credit card issued to me that Karen used to have,
Yes.
so that's one. They have, what, 2 Wildland? Because didn't we have an extra card in case there were 2 deployments? And didn't we bump that up to either, we bumped it up significantly when the guys went to Texas for hotel rooms and everything?
I'm not sure what it was, but
Okay.
yeah, I believe so.
So how many total cards? So one for the chief,
I have one. One for Tammy.
one for Tammy,
I think one Wildland card would be sufficient, and then we could replace the second Wildland with just a crew card if they've got to run down to Walmart. So the other thing that's going away is Walmart card, right? Yeah, so the Walmart cards are going away, so if they've got to go to Walmart for something, it's gonna have to run down a credit
So
card.
we'll have
Are
total
we-
4 cards need to be.
Are we far enough outside the agenda here where we shouldn't be doing the?
Why don't we bring credit cards back? I feel
'Cause
like we should bring credit cards.
You have some other stuff that's gonna come up in another meeting anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so does Lucas, so
Yeah.
maybe we can pack all that in so we
Okay.
don't get
Okay.
Okay.
too far off, is that
Okay.
okay?
Let's just go with, right now, under bank accounts and that, we'll just go with the, I'll entertain a motion.
I would love to move that we revise the bank account access to allow Chief, Carmen, and Tammy to view all accounts, and that we allow Chief and Tammy to transfer back and forth between LGIP and Umpqua, and that we allow Chief and Tammy to be signers on the bank accounts.
okay, and then also they can transfer from Umpqua to LGIP.
Yeah,
That was the back and forth part.
Got it,
But
It
that's
could
okay.
go either way.
got it, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to give Chief, Carmen, and Tammy access to view our accounts, and also have Chief and Tammy be able to transfer between the 2 accounts, and also be a signer on both accounts. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass. CBA collective bargaining.
I have not had an opportunity to meet with the union, and I would request that we table this item.
All right. I'm good with tabling that item. On to new business. Commissioner stipend.
This was my request to put on the agenda based on the budget. We zeroed out that line item. I just felt it was a lot cleaner to come back, make it a formal motion to be captured in the minutes, that it was the desire of this fire commissioner board to do away with the commissioner stipends.
Discussion?
We've already discussed it, haven't we? So-
I will make a motion, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we discontinue the commissioner's stipend effective retroactively to last month.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to discontinue the commissioner stipend, retroactive to last month. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass. Volunteer stipend.
Very similar, we zeroed this out due to the budget and due to lack of funds, and I would just look for a motion. I think it's closely related to the next item as well, and maybe it's chicken before egg, but it's my recommendation we make a formal motion to discontinue the stipend. I know that does come with some challenges, and perhaps those can be discussed and see.
Are you stating that the egg must come before the chicken?
I think it does,
Because, well, this could start a whole discussion.
right?
We were going to go ahead and through attrition. Is that what we're going to discuss? It seems strange that we're going to vote to discontinue a volunteer stipend if we're going to have to address.
That's my fault. I
Attrition.
put them on the wrong
It's
order.
okay. Did you ever watch the movie Office Space?
No.
Okay, there was a guy that was fired And they never told them, and they just said, well, just go talk to payroll and just fix it at payroll. I'm being funny, but yes, they're kind of, yeah, I should have caught that, but
Well, we could have
the budget
changed
is,
it.
the budget is zeroed out, so at some point we have to have a motion that as, and I would take it to the board only because it may create some angst or some concern, but as of October 1st, we will not be able to give a stipend to our volunteers.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we discontinue the volunteer stipend effective September 1st.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to discontinue the volunteer stipend effective September 1st. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass.
I just wasn't sure if we were going to make that effective October 1st. That's why I took a moment to pause.
And it was September 1st.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Volunteer program future.
So I'd love to say that I have a really great presentation for you tonight and a lot of statistics to talk about, but we have had this discussion through the levy vote, through the discussions with the community members, as well as I have in the last little over a year and probably 6 months before that, unofficially being your chief, have done everything we can to try to recruit volunteers. We are now in a situation where we have what I'm going to call a fiscal crisis. We have an issue with PPE and availability of PPE. We've spent money on these volunteers. They've left. We buy them brand new gear. Our folks are in older gear. We have to play the shuffle game and move gear around. And when I say gear, I'm talking about structural PPE, which is extremely expensive. So I'm presenting to the board. Basically, it feels like the last couple discussions we've had, we've been leaning towards we just really can't afford to train other people's firefighters. And so my recommendation is we hit pause on the program. I'm also open to other direction. I believe that we don't get rid of our current volunteers. We let people leave the organization if they choose to pursue a career elsewhere, and kind of through attrition get this thing down to a zero, and then reevaluate where we are in the future. I do not believe that it brings benefit. I think the only thing that it brings is confusion and a distraction, and ultimately something that people can attack us with. And we're not getting volunteers on fires. They're coming, they're riding along, they're getting training, they're leaving, we're calling them. I'm always on Lucas to call them, to follow up. Where are you? I can't chase people around. I have to run this organization and move forward. Right now is a perfect example. We have a Sunset Fire. Where are the volunteers? And Commissioner Korn thanked all the volunteers at a meeting the other day. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, hey, where are the volunteers? Being funny. But it's a point of frustration, and I've given it my all, and I've told everybody that I've given it my all, and we've done everything we can to make an organization where people want to come in. We've been flexible over on the Selkirk side. We tried the mentorship. We tried the one-on-one. We have a couple solid people that have invested time that want to do this as a career, but that's not the intent of a volunteer program, is to bring somebody on to go work in Spokane Valley. The intent of a volunteer program, especially trying to spend thousands of dollars, is to augment our staff. And so, as your fire chief, I'm telling you it's not working. I'm open to discussion, but I think I need to hit pause on this and focus elsewhere, especially in this budget year. I don't have the money to replace the gear we need to replace right now.
I've witnessed this and I see it. We're not the only organization. It's nationwide.
So if somebody, for instance, we have one or two that are somewhat active, will they actually just truly be a volunteer? There'll be no stipend or anything? Will they be able to do any volunteering at all? Or will we just say, turn in your gear, that's it, we're no longer...
No, we will keep them. And I am going to talk to ICRIMP about it. I know there's been some discussion on whether they're supposed to get paid or whether they're not paid. We've had volunteers for a while in the other districts, and they didn't get stipends. And as long as you don't tell them when they need to be here, where they need to be, at what time, and require them to work certain shifts, it doesn't become indebted servitude, has been my experience. But I will run that through our liability insurance to make sure that somebody can't be a volunteer firefighter with no stipend. If that's a problem, then I'll come back to you and we'll make a decision on the people. I haven't been able to do that research and feel comfortable to say here's where we're at with folks.
Would they be covered workman's comp when they come here if they're... Okay.
Absolutely. They're just not getting their, $10 a call or whatever it is.
I motion that we follow Chief's recommendation and wind down the volunteer program going forward through attrition.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to put the volunteer program on pause, and through attrition, we'll see what happens from there. Any further discussion? Yes.
Would now be a good time to take down all the volunteer compliance signs?
Do we have signs?
Yeah.
Oh,
On every station.
Every station.
I guess
You work tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay,
I can pass them along then.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor.
Leave it to Tanner.
Yes, there's a motion on the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass. Budget format. Tammy.
I showed you an example. I haven't had a chance to actually plug in your current budget line items to the samples that I gave you that we use at Selkirk. It would definitely benefit Chief, myself, Carmen to be using same language. But yes, that's about it. Just ask that you would consider that. And I can bring you back a presentation where I think things belong, or you could just give me that flexibility to create it and work with the new.
I think now would be the time, because it's stuff we could do for October 1st and going forward in the new budget. But
Yeah. Full disclosure, I didn't put the two side by side and try to, I didn't have the time to do that. But I'm okay with it conceptually. And if there's some aspect of it that where fields don't cross somehow or other, but then we work it out.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, you guys might have a few things that are a little different, but in general, try to keep it the same.
I'm okay with that.
Oops.
I'll go along with what Dave said as far as just we'll get it all set and arranged, and as long as things are not contradicting one another and it's out of order, I don't see any problem with that. Certainly would be easier to have just one budget for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And if, you know, you guys might have good ideas on your side, you know, janitorial supplies should be called something else, and we can take that and apply that across all three. I mean, that's why we're a team, is to come up with good ideas, so.
Just have one question. What is meals and hospitality? No need to answer.
So, how much needed?
Open houses.
Okay, yes. Okay. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the revised Selkirk Fire Rescue EMS budget format for Northside Fire District. And going forward, we can certainly make any modifications going forward in the future if necessary.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the revised Selkirk Fire District's format for our budget. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass. Loan of the engine to Sago Fire.
So I just put this on here to be really formal so we could have a public discussion about it and be captured in the notes. I'm also open to discussion on any kind of lease payment or loan payment. 1231 is not sustainable. The engine at Selkirk, it just continues to break down. Had another malfunction where they pulled out on the highway and the accelerator just went flat, and they looked to the left and here came a log truck. So it's at some point it's just not going to be feasible to run that thing anymore. So I understand we're looking in next budget year to sell the Pierce, but between now and a stopgap when our engine comes from Brindley Mountain, which is scheduled to be completed sometime in October, when the Connecticut Alf is finished, I would like to pitch it to you that maybe we loan that to Sagal I don't see that it would be more than 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks at the most. I'm open to some sort of arrangement otherwise, but I think it falls well underneath the JOA. It falls into the intent of what we're trying to do as an organization to support each other. But I just wanted to make sure it was out in the open because I didn't want any public flack, which I get enough of.
The Connecticut engine's still waiting on an alternator, isn't it? Or no, 1430, this one is, sorry.
If I may for a minute, it is ready. Jared's finished with it. The only thing, Aaron that's his name?
Yeah.
The graphics guy. I texted him earlier today. He was going to come by so we could look at the stuff on this one because we're going to do the same thing. He didn't show up, but so it's ready to be picked up. The only thing that's missing is decals. So I don't know how you want to play that one. If you want to just leave it.
I would probably just
naked for now.
I would probably just throw Selkirk on the door
Okay.
until we're done using it.
Yeah.
To eliminate confusion. It's one thing for us to borrow the Pierce for a week,
Sure.
but yeah.
Yeah.
For extended
And just keeping in mind all the issues we're working. The Cabot thing, like all those issues we're taking care of. We have not run the thing, so we don't know. It has 0 gear on it, 0 anything. So
You're sending it to the right station.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's just been getting over there to get it and then getting it in service. But
So the only caveat would be that if the board feels so strongly about the need to sell the Pierce to make our budget work, there is an aspect of this of keeping the Pierce parked and not running it, right? Because we risk something else happening. We risk not being able to sell it. So that's the only thing. If I were to put my Northside hat, well, actually I got a Northside shirt on. But if I put my Northside hat on for a minute, that's the only thing that I could think of as well. Maybe we should just not run the Pierce for a while. But we also have other options in Selkirk, whereas if this does go down, we can always do the swap-a-roo. And I think 1731 will be back soon. I don't know, things break so quick around here, it's hard for me to think of it. But we have a little engine, the little Westside engine that we could always run. So, there are other options if you said, yeah, we want to do this, but we don't want to run the Pierce, because there is a risk of running it.
and that is currently sitting at Station 3. Obviously, the American Will France is back in service.
I was gonna ask, would it make sense to loan the Pierce until the Connecticut engine's totally squared away, so you got something so you're not driving 1231?
It is squared away. Other than
The
graphics.
Pierce?
No, the Connecticut.
Oh,
It's
like,
No, they just gotta
they
get
can take
equipment
it,
put on it.
They
okay.
Yep, I was going to try to get to it this shift, but we just didn't.
Oh, okay.
It is ready to be picked up. It just needs graphics and outfitted with hose and tools. So,
Yeah, and we could throw I could even take a couple of the Selkirk decals over to Aaron and have them put on magnets and just throw them on the door, so at least it looked like somebody's engine, but I don't want to spend a ton of money on graphics for Selkirk to take it off in a month or two, so.
What was the total repair bill?
I have no idea. I don't pay bills.
Yeah, nice.
Can't remember if I ever approved that.
Who was it with right now?
It was with Jared somewhere.
Oh, with someone? Is that the one we just did?
So, yeah, but no, that
That was
was,
only 1,600.
That would have been for this one. That was
Yeah.
for this one. I would assume not much, honestly, because they did service, they did a DOT, they worked through those couple, like the cab lift stuff was just some wiring. It wasn't like they didn't even need to change a soul on.
Got a new pump, essentially.
Yeah, so it was just a few little minor things.
I want to say it was less than $2,000. I want to say it was $1,800. That's what sticks in my head,
I never
but
saw
I could be
that.
wrong.
Yeah, I didn't see
It
that.
was nothing major.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just for clarification, you want the Connecticut La France, or you want the Pierce going over there?
The Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason I brought up the Pierce is because if this goes down and they run the Pierce, it's a risk of something happening to the Pierce when we're trying to sell it for next year's budget. So
One more thing, if I may. The only issue, Chief, that I see personally with specifically the Connecticut engine is the compartment space. It's got enough, but it's definitely not like 1231 or the Pierce or the American La France.
it's better than the West Side engine, though.
For sure, 100%. But that would be the only thing that I would see for those guys of running it. So
I think in the spirit of the JOA, I think we should go ahead. I'd be in favor of loaning it.
I would agree.
I'm good with it. Yeah.
Certainly with the offer of possible SCBA's in the future, or cooperative efforts,
Yeah.
I would not feel right in any type of lease rental agreement, and I would say I'd like to give the chief the okay to proceed and get those guys an apparatus that is not going to be as prone to failure as the existing one. And hopefully your new engine, and once again, if you need it longer than 6 weeks, then it's available.
So I will entertain a motion.
I will-
If there's no further discussion. I saw Dave's brain.
No, no, I was just wondering who's gonna make the motion, that's all.
And what should I call it, Tanner? Should I call it the Connecticut
it's a
ALF? I mean,
Connecticut,
Is there any
That's what I call
number
it, Connecticut
designated?
Alpha.
The Con Elf.
Okay,
On
all
out, yeah.
right. I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that we go ahead and loan the Connecticut American LaFrance, I can't say Alf, to Selkirk or Sagal.
Con Elf.
Can't say that.
Or Con Elf.
So, once again, I will go ahead and make the recommendation and the motion to go ahead and loan the Connecticut ALF or the Con ALF to Sagal/Selkirk Fire District for a minimum of 6 weeks to be extended if necessary.
As needed.
I will second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to go ahead and loan the Connecticut ALF to Sago Fire on an as
Mr.
needed
Chairman,
basis.
hold on. Could I interrupt you? I
You
apologize.
just did.
I know, I figured I'd do it before he spit out any other words. Does it make it problematic if I put the 6 weeks to be extended? Would we have to come
As I
back?
said, as needed.
Okay,
I like his better.
okay.
As
let's-
needed.
Let's go ahead and change it to that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we will, we have a motion to loan the Connecticut ALF to Sago Fire District for as long as they need until they get their replacement apparatus. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dave, you're laughing too much.
I'm sorry. That's very
Okay.
serious
Con
business.
Use the 1402 for the acting BCs.
You got a lot of miles on that thing.
On the Connecticut Elf, I do.
I've got only a cell.
So this says 1402, but I would ask the board to leave it up to me on whether it's 1401 or 1402. We'll have a conversation under Chief's report about 1401 versus deer. But going into the next year, we are doing a creative staffing model. We're going to shift captains over to the Dover station, and we're going to move them up into a command vehicle. We're going to call it a quick response vehicle, but the reality is they're going to provide response into the Westside District as well as the other two districts for command and control, further helping us meet 1710, not for number of firefighters, but also for that command component. And with that, we're kind of short on vehicles. I talked to the 3 people that are going to be put in that position for a period of 1 year, and they all came back and said that they really liked an SUV and the concept of an SUV. And I know that Northside has 2 vehicles sitting here. Because you weren't able to come fully into the JPA, we kind of vetted those discussions over the last month, looked at the finances. This position is going to provide response into the Northside District, and I think one of the ways that Northside could contribute is with the use of a vehicle. And I would be comfortable with that, knowing that's a huge need, is a vehicle for that position. And with that, I would still continue to support that position coming into Northside for major incidents and providing response. So that would be my ask. My ask would be that it would be either 01 or 02, depending on, the disposition of 01, and maybe talking a little bit more with staff. I like the fact that for a battalion chief, I like the fact that 02 is marked, but I also don't know the implications of that vehicle necessarily running calls in all 3 districts. I think we're kind of past that where people are going to make that complaint. I think they know we work together now, so they're kind of over that. But
Question?
yeah,
What's 1710?
NFPA, the staffing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Stephanie,
that's the one that says we're supposed to have 15 firefighters on scene, what the different functions
We're
are.
almost
In
there,
there is
aren't we?
actually that you should have a command officer at every working structure fire. And so that helps us, if you can't meet 1710, you need to have conversations about how you're trying to get there. This may or may not have positive impacts on our ISRB rating when we sit down and we talk about the different positions and who's responding, so. Although we kind of say we have a 24-hour duty chief right now, but I mean, Chief Gilcrease comes from Priest-River, so it's not really an immediate response.
Yeah.
So that would be my ask, and obviously, we can revisit it in 6 months. We are gonna revisit it with the boards in 6 months to measure metrics and the benefit of that position, how many calls that position has been on, and direct benefit. But of course, at the end of the year, we can talk about what this looks like. Because right now, it's just kind of a year fix to kind of reset and understand where the districts are going. And
That's
understand
exactly what Sandpoint did when we put in the VCs.
And then they chased out
We
the
did.
west side, right?
Yes, we did a 6-month evaluation to see if it was going to continue.
So in terms of the formality part of it, would this be, they would be under the control of the JOA, really, right, for all 3 districts? Is that what we'd be calling it?
Well, in the fire chief contract, there's a section that says if I stand up a VC, that VC is covered under the contract. So for delegation of authority, they would respond over here, they would run calls, and be the command officer. Under the JOA, the vehicle use, but it's not a, hey, I'm gonna borrow this vehicle for a couple weeks, right? When the deer strike happened, one of our captains was driving logistics down to the Sunset incident. They were driving that vehicle under the JOA, understanding that we share vehicles, right?
Yep.
But if I'm gonna do it for 6 months, an evaluation, and then potentially a full year, I felt like it needed to be a conversation with the board to understand we're allowing that vehicle to be run, but here's the benefit to Northside.
Yeah, but I mean, are we, I just mean, so that for the formality part, are we loaning it then to
Yes.
Selkirk?
Yes,
To Selkirk,
yes,
to the JPA?
correct.
Okay, all right, got it.
And he was coming back from
Yeah.
Station 4 when he had that little incident.
Chief, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if they're loaning it, who's covering repairs? Northside should pay for repairs because they're getting the battalion chief coverage.
Unless we hit a deer. Maybe he should use 1402 because it's got the push bar. So that would be a discussion. It would be preventative maintenance, repairs, fuel. Those are the discussions. Thank you, Tammy. Really good discussion.
That was going through my brain, but I wasn't sure.
I assumed with the fire engine that Sago would take full responsibility for those things when they were borrowing it, but for this one, because they're having some precipitation, that
Thoughts, gentlemen?
What's the structure in the JPA? This JPA is a very specific structure for that, right? Who takes care of maintenance versus, I can't remember, I've read it, but I don't
We've let
remember
it
what it
up.
is.
It's a percentage. The maintenance and fuel are a single
Shared.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do that.
That's where I was thinking. Vern?
Seems reasonable.
Just share between the 3 districts proportionally? Or would it be equally, or would it be, there's a proportion in
Wasn't it 40,
Selkirk's
30,
arrangement,
30?
right? So,
Is it 40, 30, 30?
something like that.
Something like that. But we could do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and basically what happens if something needs to be done, we could do it, and then we could just bill Northside for 1/3 of whatever that cost is. And then maybe monthly bill 1/3 of the fuel. She's looking at me.
She's giving me those looks that
Yes.
Karen used to give me.
Or, as an option, Northside could pay one or the other. Northside could say, we'll pick up the fuel, you pick up the maintenance and repairs. That keeps it a little cleaner.
It's easier
It's
accounting.
easier, yeah.
Yeah.
Counting wise, yes. Because we did that once before.
And I would say unless a transmission drops out the bottom of it,
yeah.
they're probably gonna be, well, they're gonna be a little imbalanced unless the normal wear and tear stuff.
Over the long haul, they probably balance out, and
Yeah.
in short periods, they'll be lopsided.
Yeah.
Vern?
I don't have any other questions. Once again, I think it's a great deal that we're getting a battalion chief, and I think it's a fair exchange.
I would recommend fuel. paid for by Northside, and we pick up service only
Making it-
because it's,
Maintenance and service
yeah,
done by
it's a Northside
Selkirk.
car going in a Northside vehicle. That's just always.
It's
seemed-
cleaner that way.
Yeah,
We're not commingling funds, et cetera.
Right.
That's also a fairly steady, predictable amount going out rather than getting walloped with some big repair we weren't expecting.
That makes it easier for,
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
okay.
Is 1401
And then it would be the JPA picking up the other,
1401's the
or
one that
would it
we've
be?
invested more money into, and it has MPC
Okay.
amount.
That's the one Brad had.
Can we move the guard to 1401? Can we move that brush or that deer guard, whatever? Would that be an easy?
And we're calling, we're putting maintenance and repair together as a,
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Flat tires, things like that versus, preventative maintenance.
We do have the NBC mount for 1402 that could be reinstalled.
Okay. And it's, okay, we'll talk later.
Okay.
Are you okay with me deciding which vehicle, especially based on, okay,
I am.
No, that would be your discretion. of which
just let
vehicle.
you know, hey, this is what we decided on. So,
But you
I like
can't
the-
take one and then run it into the ground and bring it back and then take the other.
how about if I run over a deer,
Again.
the other side, make it match?
So I'll make a motion that allows Selkirk Fire to utilize at the chief's discretion either 1401 or 1402 for the acting battalion chief's vehicle. The agreement will be Northside will pick up fuel costs and Selkirk will pick up ordinary vehicle maintenance and repairs.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to give Selkirk Fire the use of the command vehicles, 1401 or 1402, per chief's discretion, with Northside picking up the fuel and Selkirk Fire picking up maintenance and repair of the vehicle. Any further discussion?
Nothing.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, revised joint JOA.
So something else that I don't have ready for you in draft, based on just kind of things, the way things went this week, obviously, but I was looking at the joint operations agreement, I was looking at the way some of the other departments that are in JOAs work, and then I was really evaluating JPA, which is a joint operations agreement that just goes a step further and leverages funds. And based on the discussion, the decision by the board not to join the JPA and some of the financial things we were looking at, I wondered if there was not an opportunity to move forward with a more enhanced JOA. Maybe there's opportunities to improve it. Maybe there's things we've learned along the way that we need to call out or be a little bit more defined on. The other thing that I've been struggling with too is the JPA right for the other two districts? Meaning not the working together, but should it be independent budgets, independent employees, and just simply the opportunity to leverage operations and work together? So again, I go back to these three departments that I mention all the time, right? Because this is kind of where I watched this flourish, and it's about 20-25 years that it's been working. Is the City of Grass Valley, City of Nevada City, and Nevada County Fire all run together in a JOA. Their employees are separate, their budgets are separate, and they even have separate chiefs, which you don't necessarily have to have, but their operations are seamless. And at a Nevada County Fire Station, you have a Grass Valley captain working with a Nevada City engineer in a Nevada County station, right? I'm just basically drawing that picture. So it'd be like a West Side and a Sago person working here. And that's just how they work, and it's seamless, and it's been working for a long time. And I don't want to take us backwards, but the JPA does have some challenges. It also has some perception in the public with regard to challenges. So I've been thinking on that, as well as thinking on how do we bring Northside in as a stronger partner, and how do we make this thing something that we can actually start planning on, right? Something that we, instead of just feeling like, hey, we're doing this because it really works, every month it feels like we're looking at ways to cut corners, and I want to be more strategic. So I don't have a draft in front of me. I guess my ask would be, rather than tabling this, we have a brief discussion if you want, or send a draft back out, or send an old document back out and have you guys jump into it and pick things apart and say, hey, this doesn't work, or I like this, or here's where we could really improve, or maybe it is the best that it is. And then we have those conversations. I know Tammy doesn't want to see us go backwards. I don't want to see us go backwards either, but I think to a certain extent, a JOA with the 3 districts would make our life a lot easier. But, I'm not proposing that either, because I do believe people, believe we're going in the right direction. The conversation that you had tonight about Northside and Westside coming together as a fire chief, my question would be, what does that look like and what's the benefit, right? Now you have 2 districts that are broke, that are trying to work together. And so the idea of one station works in the future, right? We don't have very many paid staff, so let's put one station central to both districts. I like that idea, but none of this fixes our problem.
Right.
We don't have enough money to run a professional organization, and that's what the community decided. And so we're going to continue driving things till wheels fall off of them and trying to figure out how to fix them. But going through the recent exercise that we did for the staffing and moving the battalion chief up has really made me realize that it makes Tammy's in my life a lot harder. So, and I'm not proposing anything, I'm just saying that I think maybe we focus a little bit more on making the JOA stronger. And then I don't have to come to you about things like a command vehicle, and
Right.
we make those decisions. So that's kind of my pitch. Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to take steps backwards. I'm just trying to, what is it that we're trying to accomplish here? Is it saving the taxpayer dollar? Is it creating one big fire department? Is it providing a better level of service? Better level of service isn't the community's priority. Maybe it shouldn't be our priority. Maybe we just need to figure out how to survive for the next 10 years, which at this rate, we may cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not surviving, it's circling the drain.
Right. And these aren't comfortable conversations to have, and I hate to be so blunt, but this fire service will not survive in 10 years.
Yeah. Comments?
I mean, I'm gonna go 20, 30 years back, right? Maybe 40 years back, there was one fire station in Bonner County. It was in Sandpoint, and they responded to everything, right?
Or they didn't.
Well-
And that's how Northside was created.
Yeah.
Right. But I understand that I'm simplifying a period in history that I know nothing about. But
You're pretty close to exactly from somebody that was here 40 years ago.
that's why when I talked about the path going forward in a year, as much as I want to see battalion chiefs continue, the path going forward in a year may be 2 people on here one day, 2 people on the west side the next day, 2 people, and we just brown out stations, and we respond through the city of Sandpoint, and we have a 30-minute response time, and that's what we have.
Yeah. Because I hate seeing things go backwards. And I've
Right.
already witnessed it go backwards. I'm really
And
sad
I
to see what happened with the city of Sandpoint.
I don't like to see things go backwards. I didn't want to close the Kerrywood station,
Yeah.
but I couldn't keep that station open
Right.
and fix our fire.
You were being responsible to the constituents.
Yeah.
Just
But-
like what we're trying to do as commissioners.
Even if you stay static, it's backwards anyway, because the burden on the service has increased hugely in the last decade, and the capacity of the service is the same, or actually now, because of the levy, less. So
And-
it's one's increasing and the other one's staying static or going backwards. It's already.
And the fire districts, the fire service as a whole is being held back from statues and things like that.
But Mrs. Smith is still calling 911 when her neighbor's burning.
Or they're,
And we still have to drive all the way to the end of Sagal Peninsula to figure out that it's an illegal burn. which isn't even our responsibility, right? I mean that's not stopping.
Yeah.
And at what point you have to tell an, and we did recently tell a 911 caller, we don't have any resources to send you your call. That is a reality.
Yes.
And it's gonna happen more, especially when you talk about Sunset. What happened if something else happened during the Sunset fire?
Oh, yeah.
When it first kicked off, right?
Yes. We get a true firestorm coming through like what they've been having in Utah, California, and Oregon right now. They ran out of resources. Even calling in for additional, they're unavailable.
We can't get resources right now. Under the chief's report, I'll talk about the
They're
Sunset
unavailable
Fire
right now.
operations. But we can't get resources of Sunset Fire right now. I've got 4 local, I call them local government engines. I've got 4 engines down there doing structure protection on probably 600 homes. And we're putting up hose, we're putting up sprinkler kits, we're doing everything we can, and we have benchmarks. But they looked at us today and said, you're not getting anything else. This is it. So my decision, and the reason we're having a SAGO meeting tomorrow, is my decision is I've got to extend these guys under IUM. I have to have somebody.
Yeah. I see that they declared a disaster, but, you know, that's twofold, and I don't want to get into the political side of that.
Well, and I didn't, and I put out a call to the Idaho fire chiefs, and there were, God bless them, people that came and helped.
Yeah.
But when I put out that second call for long-term help, it was crickets. Nobody can get rid of their own resources, let alone, you know. So this was that whole mutual aid thing, and I know that we got kind of drug through, you know, public opinion a little bit over sending out wildland resources. Not only is that a generator, but that's also what we rely on when the big one hits.
Yeah.
And
But
I
people
said
don't
that,
see that.
and I got laughed at, and here we are, August 20th, 2025, and I'm going back to a fire tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Vern?
Did you have,
I've only lived here for 6 years. There hasn't been a levy in that period of time from any of the 3 districts. And this isn't a personal criticism of any of certainly the current chief, but it's not even of the past chiefs, the commissioners. I think it was just a strategical / tactical error in the approach of how to fund. And I'm going back to what I said earlier. Whatever the growth rate is in the county, whatever you think your growth rate is, that's going to be reducing the existing property taxes. We should be asking for a small levy every single year that's specifically for growth. Not the 3%, the 3% is for inflation. We do this, we ask for the 3% every year for inflation, and then we ask for, like I was saying, $10 per 100K or whatever you guys think is a good number. In the last 6 years, everybody's property tax would have still gone down, even if we had done every year $10 per 100 for the last 6 years. And you would not be in the situation you're in now. So we can't undo that. If you go out and ask for 60 per 100 now, they're going to say no. Start asking for a levy to deal with the increase in demand. And as far as the running out of resources, it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody runs out of resources.
So my concern with asking for a levy is doing that, say we did that in November, and then we turn around next year and we have to make hard decisions about closing fire stations, right? Because going into next budget year, there will be one person on duty here at Northside, and they will be showing up to Walmart on fire. And you were in the fire service, tell me what we are going to accomplish. Like my news article said, I can put my arm around the homeowner and console them. That's what you can do with one person. So my fear would be, we go for a small levy, we say this helps us, and then we turn around a year later and we start closing fire stations.
Yeah, because unfortunately, and you have yeah, I know I'm being recorded, an incredibly ignorant voter base. And I've been going through this recently also for not just I'm going to, from my involvement, what I've seen, I'm gonna say 70% of the people here have not the foggiest idea how the property tax works. And so if you do that $10 per, what happens is, what he said, a year from now, you're talking about basically kind of building a sinking fund that you can use down the road. But the voters here don't get that, and and the reaction I predict, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty involved. Well, you just asked for a levy last year, and now you got money in the bank. What are you doing with it? Now you want more, and unfortunately, Scott Hernan will hammer that kind of stuff on people and twist the facts, and it's just, I mean, in principle, you're making a good suggestion. I don't think it would work in this environment.
I understand that, and there's also the Idaho tax code is the enemy of public safety in the state of Idaho, and that's just the way
It sure
it
is. Yep.
So we have, Mark Souter. Cornell Razor is not currently a big friend of the fire service. He seems to be advocating subscription service. That's just like...
It's the libertarian mindset.
It's just a road backwards, but everybody's convincible if you approach them correctly. And then, Jim Woodward, we need those three gentlemen to be advocating for us in Boise to get some kind of assistance for the fire service. It's not like they got their own budget problems coming up now, but they've been flush for years, and their response to being flush is to come up with all kinds of new programs to spend money on instead of dealing with the existing issues in the state.
There's another aspect to look at this too, and it may feel like maybe I'm beaten up over the levy or don't care, and it certainly doesn't mean that way, but elections have consequences, right? Mm-hmm. Now I've come back to say, okay, all I saw on there was, number one, live within your means. The number two thing I saw is take my clown circus back to California, right? Because I'm trying to make the place better. My thing now, my focus as your fire chief is just to try to live within my means and try to make this place as good as possible. And if that means that we're busy and we can't respond to a 911 call, we can't respond to a 911 call. And I will always feel bad for the person that's impacted, because what's happening is the loudest people don't have a mortgage and don't need homeowners insurance and don't care if their house burns down. But they're speaking for people that have both and do care if their house burns down.
And they vote.
But that's my concern.
Or they
I
don't.
feel like the next step is for us to continue to strategically plan. We'll learn some stuff from Tim. We'll apply it to Northside, even though it's going to be in the other two districts. And we start figuring out what's this next budget year look like. How do we retain the firefighters we have? How do we get creative with staffing? And what has to happen is, I feel like it has to organically come from the community. The community has to come in here and tell us what they want. And if there's enough people that call 911, or the right person that calls 911, and we don't show up, they're going to organically say, what is going on with the fire service? I don't feel like, after everything that I did in 113 public events, trying to talk to the people, nobody and hardly anybody showed up, but then we get 504 people at the community meeting for the Sunset Fire. That told me a lot. I was happy to see them all there, and I was happy to talk to the people that cornered me. And speaking of Cornell Razor, he had to wait like 30 minutes to shake my hand because he was at the end of the line. But I said, for once a politician's waiting on me. Perfect. I was glad to see that kind of interest, but also, as I drove away, it made me really sad.
Yeah.
It took the event that I've been fearing, that I've been talking about publicly, to generate interest in the fire service. And then it just became the IDL show, which is fine. But people are losing focus on what it is we really do. So I know that is an emotional response to being personally attacked, to being beat up and everything over the levee, and I know that I'll feel differently in the future, but I really feel like I need to start hearing people show up at meetings going, we need to have this conversation.
Yep.
Commissioner Williams has reached out to me. It's public record. It's an email. She reached out to me. We really need to get people together. People don't realize what they don't have here. They're starting to wake up after the levee, and I said, I'm happy to talk to you about the districts. I'm not happy to talk to you about a levy. I said, you can go talk to my bosses about a levy. I'm not talking about a levy anymore.
Right. I've been talking to Asia about the fire service in Bonner County since before I even started coming to any of the fire commission meetings. It actually started with her. And she's very receptive to listening to ideas, but she's also very busy.
I think she's awesome, and I don't know where she sat on the levy, and I don't even know how she would have voted if she was in my district. But she was respectful to me, and she's the only one on the board that communicates with me. I think she's great. But my comment to her isn't trying to be rude. It's just I'm not there yet.
Right.
Like, I'm not ready to go back out and have that conversation. Right now, I need to figure out how to make things work.
Yep.
And hashtag live within my means.
I think if we go to her or the commissioners with ideas that they can understand and back, that we can get them advocating as well for state level assistance, because in the long run I think that's what it's going to take. Because I'm just not believing that under the current property tax laws in this state that we're going to get anywhere. There's more levies coming up on the November ballot already. Let's see how many of them pass. The school district's going to be asking. I think the ambulance district's going to ask. The county might ask. People, it's not they don't like us. It's not that they don't like. They love firefighters.
Some don't.
Well,
They think we're overpaid. We don't do anything except sit at
we
the
are
fire station.
overpaid and
Well,
we
we
sit
watch
on
movies.
chairs and preen ourselves, but that's beside the point.
Who's overpaid?
Right?
Not
I remember making $7 an hour.
Well,
I made $7.25 when I started in the fire service, and I
So
worked
made
3
$7
jobs to
when I
make ends
started
meet.
in Sandpoint.
I made $50 a month, and then I got a big raise. I went to $4 an hour. $96 a day, whether I needed it or not.
We're probably way off the agenda, but
We are way.
yeah, it needs to happen. But maybe we put that on the agenda along with the revised joint operations for the next agenda. But maybe put a levy discussion, because I think it needs to happen. The other idea that was thrown to me by multiple people was just throw one on the agenda or throw one on the ballot and don't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you have an advocate with Mark Souter, and so the outside the box, at least getting at resources, like we got tired engines, right? So get Souter to get a coalition together in Boise that says, hey, Boise should buy 25 West State Type 3 engines, sprinkle them around the state. Whoever wants to house it can use it as a reserve engine, and you just
The old Cal OES program.
yeah, and you just have to staff it if we call for it on an incident. And you'd have an engine that's 2 or 3 years old to be able to use down in Selkirk while you're waiting for your other engine to get here. And that's in their realm of their affordability. But it doesn't change our budget.
Any
Are
further
we tabling
discussion?
that?
Any further discussion?
That was the longest table ever.
Thank you for listening to me.
So on
Thank you.
item G, are we just gonna, that was a discussion and we just,
And just bring it back on the next meeting. We'll have some more continued discussion about that and anything else.
we can certainly broaden the agenda item a little bit next time if we need to.
Now, the one thing I don't see on here is, under new business, is the resolution.
Backtrack.
Oh,
There's a new admin in town and we're saving paper.
Well, I saw it
So-
live, I just didn't look up front because I don't have
Saving
glasses.
trees so they can burn up in the sunset fire.
So-
You got lightning quick too.
So this is my item here, and this has been going on for some time, and I recently emailed Commissioner Domke to. I should have printed that out, but so Chief, not long ago, sent a memo to the county commissioners, letting them know that we are not going to do fire sign-offs for individual homes in the WUI. Did I get that right, roughly? So it's limited to subdivisions and commercial properties.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
One and two family homes, 3
Right.
units and above, I would do because it's a commercial.
Yeah, and the reason being because ordinarily, if we had a building department, which Bonner County, one of 2 counties in Idaho that doesn't, it would be the building department that would handle that. And since we have no building department, no building code, the planning department's basically pushing that off on the fire department, and it's a burden that we don't have the staff or budget or resources to handle. Have I got that about right?
The only other thing that I would add is that all the requirements for what's called an R3, which is a single-family home, in Idaho has been pulled out of the fire code and put in the Idaho Administrative Code, which even more solidifies the argument that if I live in the fire code, it's my job to not only interpret the fire code, but then talk about what's included, what's excluded, and then
Correct.
apply it. So,
Because the county had a building department, and they enforced the fire code along with us, and then they tried to streamline and did away with it. And they didn't have any building codes for a few years in Bonner County. So Joe Blow could go out and build anything he wanted, however he wanted.
He still
in
can.
Certain things.
but you're expecting me to go out and enforce the fire code and portions of the administrative code when nobody else is enforcing anything. So I don't have any
Correct.
counterparts, I don't have anybody to collaborate with, I am just the sole
Right.
bad guy.
So, this is something that even before any of this came up, I have been involved with because of the stuff I do in land use, where Bill Wilson and Jacob Bell have taken the position in stuff that I've been involved with in the past, that we don't have a fire code here. And I took issue with that on the stuff that I was involved with anyway. And then when Chief came on board here, then he got a letter from the fire marshal, which went to planning, if I'm not mistaken, back then at that time, saying the same thing, and now it's happening again. So, and because this is all, it keeps rearing its head, I thought, why don't we just make a resolution that establishes that, hey, you do have a fire code here, and we're saying you have it, and you gotta follow it, and he's in charge of it, so.
And the biggest thing was the county commissioners, when they discussed my letter in a public meeting, they said, well, he doesn't have the authority. And so that's what spurred the conversation to say, because they wanted to get all 11 of you in a room with the 3 of
Yeah.
them and have some big powwow about all of this when,
They probably would not have liked that.
well, right. And it would have just been a circus.
It would have been.
And I went to Jake when I first got tapped for fire chief. I went to him and said, "Hey, Chief Gilcrease has been really struggling with these. He's pushed back. He's sent them back. He didn't want to do them. I'm struggling with them." And he painted a picture of I would be the cog of the wheel, and I didn't want to be the new guy. I didn't want to create ruffle feathers, so I just went along with the program. Well, after a year of going along with the program, we can't keep up and do a good job everywhere else. Personally, I can't keep up and do a good job everywhere else. I brought it up to Jake again in the conversation. Well, we'll just go ahead and just sign them off. Just sign them. Or just have a standing signature. Have your secretary sign them, is what he said. So, I struggle with that. If you're going to ask me to look at something, I'm going to do my due diligence, look at it. So then I started digging, and then I talked to State Fire Marshal, and State Fire Marshal goes, well, you got to go to the administrative code. I went to the authority in the administrative code. Nowhere does it talk about the fire chief being able to enforce the administrative code. So I went, aha. So the first issue, I can interpret the fire code. The second issue is R3s are taken out of the fire code. Fourth issue, fifth issue, sixth issue, some other issue, I'm not even supposed to be in the administrative code enforcing it. That's kind of where we landed.
So I drafted this myself, just looking at the fire code and knowing what I know, and you guys may want to revise it or alter it or whatever. I revised it today because Lucas pointed out to me yesterday that I was talking about the Northside Fire Protection District, which it turns out, I mean, I never really had thought of it at this level, but that is the geographic area in which we serve. We are not the Northside Fire Protection District as a body. So I corrected it. I printed out my own copy, but I said Northside Fire District, Fire Protection Board of Commissioners. That's what it calls us in the code. Recognition of the fire chief's authority to interpret and enforce the code. And then I fixed that going like the first one, whereas Northside Fire Protection Board of Commissioners, recognizes, so I made those edits
Changes.
throughout, yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, it's the same,
That was the only thing
Yeah.
when I looked at it, and that, just knowing
yeah.
that, and I understand the fire code, because I was also, I actually went through the fire code classes at the fire academy, and I actually did pre-fire planning. So I was one of the few, there was only 3 of us in Sandpoint that did pre-fire plans. That legally, and they actually,
The most
Put that
exciting
in.
classes you'll ever go through.
I actually got to go through the 3-week class.
I
So it
tried to
was
get
really
this
fun.
printed out, but Tanner broke the printer, so I wasn't able to get them printed for everybody.
All right, is there any further discussion?
Did you see this, Chief? Any comments,
Nope.
issues?
You're good with it?
And then I was thinking we
He
should,
hit all I was looking at, because I went back and I actually dubbed up some of my old stuff, and you got the right codes and Idaho codes and everything. Fire
and then I
codes.
figured that should be presented to the Board of Commissioners, right? That
Yeah,
this is
Board of
I'd
Commissioners,
be
we
very
vote on
excited
it.
to email it to them.
I thought you might be like
Mhm.
that.
Yes, I'm,
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and accept Resolution 2025-3, the Northside Fire District Fire Protection Board of Commissioners, recognition of the fire chief's authority to interpret and enforce the fire code.
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the Resolution 2025-3, recognition of the fire chief's authority to interpret and enforce the fire code. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will pass. And we will sign.
I'm so proud of myself doing this.
Thanks, Jeff.
I had to go look at other resolutions to figure out.
Yeah.
No sense in
Fine. Why
reinventing the
reinvent the
wheel.
wheel?
All right.
All right. Karen's or Tammy's report.
Oh,
Excuse me.
oh, no, that's okay. I don't have a report prepared. Again, it's been an extremely challenging few weeks. A lot to do with fire sign-offs, trying to keep up with those at a magnitude of 12 a day. It's kind of rough. So that's going to be a blessing if we can quit doing that.
Big bucks.
It takes a lot of time. As you guys know, Karen didn't enjoy those either, but I appreciate all of your support. Vern has been amazing. Dave has been amazing. Mick, thank you so much for helping me these last couple of weeks. I made a few notes earlier and now I've forgotten what they were, and just want to say thank you, and yeah, give me some more time to get my feet under me. It's along with the fire and coming on with all of this, it's been a challenge. So along with the elections and budgets, and it's a very busy month. So I might have something prepared for you next month. The other boards, I typically give all my notes to Chief because he's so amazing with expressing all the things that we've been doing. So I don't know if I'll continue to have a line item, if that's okay with you. I'd like to give my information to Chief so that he can present it.
Thank you for what you've been
Sure.
doing
Thanks,
so
Tammy.
far.
Here.
God won't give you anything you can't handle.
And yes, I do have my,
Whether I choose to.
I have all my signatures, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a couple additional ones because I've run into this before and I'm making sure I don't do that.
And if you'll run that to the county first.
Yes,
Thank you.
And-
I already talked to Terry over there.
Yeah.
And Tammy, remember, no
Oh,
good
yeah.
deed- no
Don't
good
mess
deed
that
goes
up.
unpunished.
Vern and I had a discussion yesterday because we were looking at some boundaries and I had other shit on my brain.
It was easier on my laptop. I got to bring
Yeah,
out.
well, when you and I were talking, I pulled it up on my tablet, so then it clicked in my brain.
I just wonder, where's Sub-District 5?
I have no idea.
It
Where's
doesn't
four?
exist yet.
Where's 4?
That's going to be absorbed into 2.
We gotta pull the Texas and redistrict.
Just out of the blue.
Well, I would say during the last part of my lower report, again, a shout out to especially the officers here, Lucas, Connor, and Tanner. They answer every question I have immediately and have been extremely supportive, so I really appreciate your help.
They're probably making a
Gonna
bunch
get
of
an answer.
They're probably making it up.
You know.
And it doesn't matter to me as long as they're nice and kind and intelligent, I go with it. So yes, they,
Awesome.
That's what I appreciate.
Chief's report.
To the end of July, year to date, 800. I'm sorry, that is not to the end of July. Year to date, 870 calls. That's as of today. For the month of July, we had 57 EMS calls, 12 fire calls, and a total of 125 calls in that month. You all saw my email about the deer strike. I won't say the captain's name, but you guys all know who did it. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but he is beside himself and upset over an incident that he couldn't control. You can't control when deers are going to jump out. So that is over at Anderson's, or what is called Fox now. We're getting an estimate, which unfortunately is a little bit detailed because you have to pull things apart. More to follow on that. I'll keep you updated. Our IT professional has resigned, effective the end of this month, and I don't know that we're going to be able to accept it by the end of the month, but we're going to do our best to try to find a replacement. September 1st, all 3 districts will pull back from responding to ILS medicals and will be responding to ALS medicals only. This is based on the current fiscal situation we find ourselves in. This is based on the feedback from the public, and this is based on some data that I looked at with the EMS chief. EMS still expects to call us for BLS and ILS calls when there is something in the notes that causes them concerns. If we are a closer resource, if they need help getting somebody out of a home, and I hope that they make, and I hope I've been able to convince the EMS chief to make those decisions early, because if you respond 20 minutes, this is the whole reason we go to EMS calls. You respond 20 minutes and you get there and you have to wait 20 minutes for us to show up. Now that person has called 911 and waited 40 minutes. So hope that there's no shenanigans and that they continue to serve the public as the professionals that they should. Sunset Fire, we have 1471, the tender assigned. I don't expect that tender back anytime soon, and 1451 has been assigned. It is now on paid reimbursable status, and we've extended that out through Friday because we cannot get resources to come in through the national system. We'll revisit it after that and see what kind of resources we need through the weekend, but we obviously are going to be hotter, drier. It was windy today. It was extremely windy on the lake. I was listening to one of the divisions get briefed by one of the team members that was there, and they were describing Lake Pend Oreille as a very calm lake. And I let that person go through his thing, and then I pulled that person aside because I knew Mike, and I said, because I actually was just on the fire in Arizona with Mike, and Mike demoed to come up here. And I pulled him aside and I said, let me tell you about this lake. I've been on it with my boat 3 times, and let me tell you about this lake. So it was pretty choppy out there today and pretty windy, so it's continued to be a challenge. Obviously, you guys all know what kind of a dirty burn is, but when it doesn't burn clean, it doesn't matter what kind of line, what kind of efforts they're doing. When you've got stands of trees inside that can torch and that can throw embers, it's still a threat to Tallahatchie, and it's still a threat to Butler Creek. So we've got resources in both areas. I'm plugged in as kind of a, let's say a liaison, but kind of the guy that's setting the priorities for structures and really advising the divisions on where things need to go. It's a bit of a unique, apparently as I throw my pen, it's a bit of a unique organizational structure, but they've recognized that I have political things to do. I have cooperators meetings to go to, so they've plugged me in and allowed me that flexibility, but still have me attached. The reimbursable status is going to be through IOEM. We're going to have a meeting at the Sago Fire District tomorrow, late afternoon at 4 o'clock, to talk about the fiscal impacts to Sago, because Sago does have a percentage of match under FMAG. And right now we're broaching about $15,000 cost to Sago to protect those structures, and that's just the way it works, because initially the request came in. IDO can't order structure resources, so we had to order them. They came in as mutual aid. We rolled them onto an IOEM, but under FMAG, the way it works in the state of Idaho is the state pays 75%. The federal pays to 75%, the state's on the hook for 25%, but then 10% they make the local pay. So I think that most of the fire districts that have come to help us are not going to balance bill us. But there's a potential that we could be on the hook for that. Plus, we had some other overtime and everything else. So there'll be a liaison from the fire as well as a representative from IOEM tomorrow at that meeting. So if you're interested, show up and you can learn a little bit more about how that building, I'm still figuring it out. So, but a little bit more how that building works. And a report.
You know, we're on quite a run for calls. I think this will probably be the most calls we've ever run in a year if we keep at the pace at 870 for this period of time.
Yeah.
Even only going to ALS calls.
And that might even be higher because our link to the CAD broke and there might not be calls that have been put in yet. So
Yeah,
there's going to be
they're
higher
gonna
than
have a
that.
lot of problems with dispatch. I don't know if it's the base stations or what for tone outs.
We're having a lot of problems with that. We've missed some calls in the Sable Fire District because they've toned out the wrong station.
Yep.
Wow.
Because I still,
And-
monitor, I still am able to monitor.
Might be able to find it.
And at the same time, county IT is still the stellar organization that they are.
Yeah,
So I have to go back to work.
okay. Any other new business?
What else could there be?
5 minutes before you take off.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Northside Fire District.
So moved.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
I'm gonna use the restroom.
All in favor, all in
All in
favor
favor?
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is 18:46.
Before you leave, Dave, so
Yes,
were
ma'am.
you
Outside the
gonna have
box.
two
Yes, indeed.
commissioners, or
Got
one
to.
commissioner sign meeting minutes? Were you gonna sign meeting minutes?
You know,
Have you gentlemen
How
had a
will you-
chance to review?
I
the
I
was-
just wanna make sure. I take
I've gotten
exactly what I
partway
need.
through it.
so what I
I've
was
gotten
going to
tied up.
do,
You have a
I was
copy?
actually,
yeah.
at some point, I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
look at open
continue?
meeting law,
Oh,
see
yeah.
what's
Board.
required.
Might have Bob,
But what I thought I would do
Yeah, I
is
was
just right,
37
is
years
put
in San
drafted by
Juan
Dave
before I
Orman.
retired.
And then, because the way, the little thing that Karen had put in there was motioned by
6 months
and
later
seconded
after
by and
retirement and-
whatever, and just
I'm
fill
very
fill
happy.
that out.
Okay.
Let's see what it
Fill
says.
that out.
So I was gonna write in
I,
here,
Okay, got it.
I'm,
drafted by
went
Dave
through a lot of
Orman,
things with
and
San
then
Point when they
motion
joined in
Okay.
84.
was by Vern, seconded by me, motion carries 3-0. Call it good, and then I can scan them.
They moved here in.
I could just do that at home probably. Scan, or I could do them now and hand them to you if you'd rather.
Oh, you're welcome to scan them and send them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
actually,
I do like
Yeah.
having the originals.
why don't I just do that right
And I was
now
very
here?
happy, and I was one of those captains that was,
So you're
I never
just-
asked to do something.
Yeah,
Let me get this.
I got on the
Both.
Region 1
Okay.
hazmat team, I got
And then I was
on
gonna ask, I'm sure you guys have physical copies of your meeting minutes somewhere, and I'd like to keep those.
I have no idea. I mean,
That's one of the things
I
I like
would-
to do, physical
if
copies.
we had those, I thought that it, transition happened here, that I would probably become the custodian of them as the secretary. I've never seen them.
I'm happy to be the custodian.
That's fine.
But
So then this, I wanna get this scanned so he can have a copy of it.
Yes.
My city did the
Would
same
you like me to
thing.
take care of all
We had
of
all this area north
Sure,
of
if
the
you
river.
like, yeah.
Because then I can hold on to the originals.
No, that's fine.
It was in our sphere of influence.
Sign,
Let me
I just
do-
wanna make sure everything's signed.
Let,